Okay guys, today I have a lot of information to go through and I tried to organize it the best I could. This is still going to end up being a long video. It's going to be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to start here with this slide and go through this slide, and then we'll take it apart and then try to put all the themes together here for you. I'm going to be talking about Revelation 8:11, of course, which is the focus of my channel, the Wormwood star. And I'm going to be talking about submarines, the Great American Eclipse, and some other solar eclipses. I'll be talking about a horse theme that connects to this Revelation 19:19. Talking about the state of Ohio and their flag that features a great conjunction trigon. And a great conjunction, of course, is the conjunction between the planets Jupiter and Saturn. But like I said here, I'm going to go through this slide first, and then hopefully all these numbers that I show you will connect that back and piece it all together here. Okay, the Dayton, Ohio Revelation shooting is kind of the start of this theme that we're going to look at, and that was on August 4th, 2019. And I'm going to show you how it was a Revelation 1919 ritual and Revelation 19:19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Okay, so let's look at this from the top here. American Eagle Flight 4184 crashed en route to Chicago on 10/31/1994. And this was the 339th day after Caroline Kennedy's birthday. And the connection here is that Donald Trump and Caroline Kennedy were born 4,184 days apart. And the eagle, Jupiter is also known as the eagle, can be represented by an eagle. And we had the Ohio State University discovered the Wow signal on August 15th, 1977. And the Wow signal remains the best candidate for an extraterrestrial signal. But the Stoneman Douglas shooting was 40 years, 184 total days after the Wow signal was received. And then in turn, the Dayton, Ohio shooting was 1 year, 171 days after the Stoneman Douglas shooting. And this 1171 is the height of the Chicago Trump Tower, 1,171 feet to the roof. And the Keystone chapter of the Bible is Psalm 117. And this is the 595th chapter of the Bible. So Psalm 117:1 is the Keystone chapter and verse of the Bible. And we have Ohio here. Their state flag features the Great Conjunction Trigon. And if we look at the last Great Conjunction, this was 7,004 days before the Dayton shooting, 5/31/2000 to August 4th, 2019, and 7,004 days is 19% of a common year. So if we go back here and look at this Dayton shooting, I'm going to show you how this connects to the dog star Sirius and Pope Francis. Pope Francis turned 81 years old on December 17th, 2017. And we have the Dayton, Ohio shooting on August 4th, 2019. This was 595 days after Pope Francis turned 81. And the Sirius connection is at the dog star Sirius. In Greek, isopsophy, Sirius sums to 595. And if we look at the number 81, which I already have plugged in here, the 81st prime number is 419. Okay. And the address of the Dayton shooting was 419 East 5th Street. And if we go to our Google Earth here and look at the location of the shooting, you can kind of see here that this 419 East 5th Street, it makes a triangle here with the railroad tracks and Wayne Avenue. So we have a triangle. This ritual shooting was contained within a triangle. And if we go back here and look at the 81st triangular number, it's 3321. And I'm going to be showing you guys that and how it's related to Pope Francis and John F. Kennedy shortly here. Also, I'm going to show you how this connects to the Golden Gate Bridge. I almost forgot that here. But the 81st prime is 419. You have the Dayton, Ohio shooting at the address of 419. And the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge ended on 419, 1937. And since we're going to be talking about kind of a horse theme here, I want to show you the Celestial Golden Gate. The Celestial Golden Gate is in the half-man, half-horse constellation Sagittarius. And generally, the Celestial Golden Gate is between 266 and 267 degrees on the ecliptic longitude. And another connection, another bridge connection, is that Sagittarius is the learned healer whose higher intelligence forms a bridge between earth and heaven. So we're half man, half horse, and we're going to be showing the horse theme here as we go along, and more bridge symbolism. Okay, we had the American Eagle Flight 4184. We have Jupiter. They can also be represented by the eagle. And if we go back here and look at the Stoneman-Douglas shooting, the Stoneman-Douglas High School, they're the Eagles. Their nickname is the Eagles. And when I think of the Stoneman, or the Stone Men, I think of Mount Rushmore. And I'll show you something interesting with the Stoneman-Douglas shooting and Mount Rushmore here, the Stone Men. I have a line drawn here from Mount Rushmore, and it's interesting here, Mount Rushmore, of course, the nearest city is Keystone, South Dakota. Right back to our Keystone verse of Keystone chapter of the Bible, and the Keystone chapter and verse 1171. But if we go from Mount Rushmore to the Stoneman-Douglas High School, straighten this out here. But the distance between Mount Rushmore and Stoneman-Douglas is 1,776 miles from Stoneman Douglas to Mount Rushmore. Kind of an interesting year of the founding ritual with the stone men. Also here, we're going to talk about this Revelation 1919 and how it connects to the Golden Gate. I've showed you guys this before, but if we look at we're going to look at the two lost nuclear submarines. The United States has lost two nuclear submarines, the USS Thresher and the USS Scorpion. The USS Thresher was lost on April 10th, 1963, and the Scorpion was lost on 5/22/1968. There's exactly 267 weeks between the loss of those submarines, which connects to our ecliptic longitude of the Golden Gate. And I showed you guys this before too, but if we draw a line from the Scorpion and the Thresher, and we continue that line to Lake Michigan, this is the location of the sunk German UC-97, which was sunk as target practice in Lake Michigan. And then also I've shown you before that's right here on the coast of Lake Michigan here, McCormick Place. Find it here. McCormick Place in Chicago. Their exhibit hall floor is 2,670,000 square feet, so another 267, connecting back to our celestial Golden Gate coordinates. And of course, McCormick Place features the star on its logo. And if we go from McCormick Place to the San Jacinto Monument, Marker Vista Road to McCormick Place. This is 811 nautical miles, connecting back to our Wormwood star. And the reason it's nautical miles, of course, this is a water measurement, generally, a water or air measurement. Back to our Revelation 8:11. Going back to these submarines here, the 593 and the 589 are the only two lost nuclear submarines of the United States. And if we look here at the USS Kentucky, I'm going to show you how this is connected to the Eclipse. This is the path of totality for the August 21st, 2017 Great American Eclipse, and maximum eclipse was in Kentucky. This eclipse made landfall in Lincoln County, or Lincoln City, Oregon, and maximum eclipse was in Kentucky. And if we look at this USS Kentucky, its motto is it's the thoroughbred of the fleet, which goes back to our horse theme. And the Ohio class of nuclear-powered submarines, going back to our Ohio connection here with all the shootings and the detection of the Wow signal. The Howe class of nuclear-powered submarines is the sole class of ballistic missile submarines currently in service with the United States Navy. So we are told these are the only submarines that carry the nuclear weapons, the ICBMs. But if we look at the USS Kentucky, it was launched on August 11th or 8/11/1990. Back to a Wormwood star, Revelation 8:11 reference. And what I want to do here, there are 404 total verses in Revelation, and the 404th prime number is 2777. So I'm going to add 2,777 days to the launch of the USS Kentucky. That gets us to March 19th, 1998. And on March 19th, 1998, the Kentucky collided with the attack submarine, the USS San Juan, during a training exercise. But this San Juan reminds me of another submarine, the ARA San Juan, which was lost on November 15th. It was the Argentine sub, lost on November 15th, 2017. And of course, Pope Francis is our Pope from Argentina. But if we look here, this is where the location of the lost Argentine submarine is, the ARA San Juan. And I'm going to show you how this is connected to an eclipse here. The Great American Eclipse was on August 21st, 2017. And we have another eclipse that forms an X over the southern tip of Illinois on April 8th, 2024. And there's 346 weeks between these eclipses. So the halfway point is 12/14/2020. And I wasn't aware of this, but Bobby from the Bobby Simpson channel pointed this out to me. There is a solar eclipse on 12/14/2020. And this solar eclipse passes over Argentina, and the maximum duration of that eclipse is in the middle of Argentina here, but I have it mapped out on Google Earth. And if we look at this line here from the maximum eclipse to the location of the ARA San Juan, it is 911 kilometers for our Revelation 9/11 and 9/11 symbolism. Kind of interesting. Okay, and how do these three submarines connect to Revelation 19:19? Well, if we take the identification of the three submarines, the 593, the 589, and the 737, they sum to 1919. And of course, the Kentucky is called the thoroughbred of the fleet, which goes back to our Revelation 19:19, the armies that were gathered to make war against him that sat on the horse. Okay, you guys remember that the 81st triangular number was 3321. Well, first I'm going to show this connection to the popes here. If you remember, Pope Francis came to the United States on 9/22/2015, but Pope John Paul II was actually the first reigning pope to visit the White House on October 6, 1979. And then there was an assassination attempt on him on May 13th, 1981. And there was 585 days between those dates. "585 days between John Paul II visiting the White House and his assassination attempt. And 585 is an earthquake number. The study of earthquakes began in 585 BC. And something also that's interesting here, this plaque commemorates the assassination attempt. We have the 13, 5, and 1981 in Roman numerals here. And that sums to 2019 in the Jewish cipher. Kind of interesting. And I'll show you another interesting thing about the 81st triangular number and 2019 here. If we go back and look at the JFK assassination, he was assassinated on 11/22/1963, and the eternal flame on the JFK gravesite was opened on March 15th, 1967, the Ides of March. And that was 3 years, 3 months, and 21 days after he was assassinated. And 12/22/2019, a date I've covered quite a bit, of course, on my channel here lately. On 12/22/2019, Pope Francis will be 30,321 days old, and 3321 is the 81st triangular number. And another connection here to Revelation and the 24th star number here. There was the Great Conjunction on 5/28/2000, and this was 3,031 weeks and 3 days after Francis was born, and 3313 is the 24th star number. And I've told you guys many times, one of the key numbers of Revelation coding is that there are 33 verses between Revelation 6:12 and Revelation 8:11, and then 13 more verses to Revelation 9:11, and that makes our 3313. And once you have this 3313 number and all of its derivatives, these Revelation puzzles and riddles seem to come together a lot better. I guess you could call this this is the real code behind the Revelation. But if we look here at the 81st triangular number, which is 3321, and the 24th star number, which is 3313, if you sum those together, you get 6634. And kind of an interesting riddle with the 6634. "11/10/2019 is 6,634 days after 9/11. And if we look at that in relation to Donald Trump taking office on 1/20/2017, it's 33 months and 21 days after Donald Trump took office. back to our 81st triangular number. And I'm going to be talking more about this in my next video, but all the derivatives of this 3313, once you have this number, all these other puzzles fall into place. But this 466th prime number is 3313. And one thing I wanted to show you here is that 12/22/2019 is the 4066th day after President Obama was elected. And that connects back to our 24th star number. What's also interesting about this, since we're on our horse theme, I want to take a look at Neptune, which is known as the god of horses. I have this set on 1/23/2011, and on 1/23/2011, Neptune, and remember Neptune sits at the top of the Tree of Life. Neptune entered Aquarius, the water constellation, on January 23rd, 2011. And Obama was elected on the 811th day after Neptune hit Aquarius. Find that quite interesting. And then if we go to 12/22/2019, it's a total of 8 years, 11 months, back to this 2219. 8 years and 11 months after Neptune enters the constellation Aquarius. Well, I'm sure this turned out to be a long video. Let's see here. One more thing that I want to show you guys here, and why, this is kind of the reason why it's so important to look at the astronomical alignments and the astrology, because really a lot of these, or most of these rituals, their core has to do with the planets and astronomical alignments, eclipses in the sky. And if we look at the Freemasonic pathway here, we have the 3 steps, the 5 steps, and the 7 steps. And at the top, we have astronomy. The top step is the understanding of astronomy. And if you know a little bit, done any research about Freemasonry, most of it is rooted in the knowledge of ancient Egypt. And there's a bit of a mathematical riddle contained within this 357 step path here. If we look at the 357, three is the second prime, 5 is the third prime, and 7 is the fourth prime. So we have the second, third, and fourth primes. And if we look at the prime factorization representatives here, we have 3 times 7 times 17 is our 357. So this is the second prime. the 4th prime, and the 7th prime. So we have a 247. So we have 234, then our prime factorization representatives plus 247. That sums to 481. And like I said, a lot of this knowledge stems back to ancient Egypt. And we have astronomy as our highest step here. But the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza in ancient Egypt with the capstone was 481 feet. Contained within the 357 little prime factorization puzzle here. Well guys, overall, hopefully I got my point across. I know it's kind of confusing, but try to do the best I can there. Okay, thanks for watching.